Are you considering a move to Folsom, but you're wondering what it's really like to live there? Have you heard it's been voted best place to raise a family in California over 5 times since 2015, but you're wondering why? Then this video is for you. This has been one of the most requested videos on my channel because Folsom is such a popular place to move to. And I'm gonna go over 7 pros and 7 cons of living in Folsom, California. And at the end, I'll go over one maybe that you'll have to decide. Is it a pro or is it a con for your family? If you've been watching a while, welcome back. And if you're new here, you're probably wondering who I am and why you should bother listening to me. It's a fair question. I'm Rich Curtis with eXp Realty, and I've been selling homes in Sacramento and El Dorado counties for nearly 20 years now, in markets ranging from the Great Recession to the COVID market insanity and everything in between. In fact, I started my business in Folsom nearly 19 years ago, just off Folsom Boulevard near Lake Natoma and Dos Coyotes. So when it comes to Folsom real estate, I've got you covered. First off, where is Folsom and what's it like? Well, Folsom is at the very eastern edge of Sacramento County, right on the border of Sacramento County and El Dorado counties, right at the end of the flats before you start heading uphill to Tahoe. Folsom's city motto is the gateway to fun, and they mean it. Being at the edge of the Central Valley before you start ticking up into the foothills makes Folsom almost entirely flat, making their nearly endless hiking, biking, and walking trails accessible to everyone. There are also 2 lakes in Folsom, the big one, Folsom Lake, and smaller Lake Natoma, so there's no end to the beautiful nature to explore in the Folsom area. It's also been voted the best place to raise a family in California more times than I can count. So let's find out why. Here are the pros of living in Folsom, California. Pro number 1 of living in Folsom has to be outdoor recreation, but specifically the bike trails and parks here for the family. Folsom has over 50 miles of Class 1 trails. Now these are hiking, biking, and walking trails, and the vast majority of them are level and paved, making them even wheelchair accessible. And they've designed the neighborhoods such that these paths connect the neighborhoods in the parks, making it easy to just come out the front door, hop on the bikes, and bike over to a park with the kids. In addition to the over 50 miles of trails, Folsom also has 48 developed parks that are incredible for the kids. Whether it's the Splash Park at John Kemp or the amazing play structures at Folsom Kids Play Park, also known by the locals as Castle Park, there's no shortage of places to take the kids to get the energy out. Now these trails and parks are just one of the reasons that Folsom has been voted the best place to raise a family in California. But pro number 2 played a big role in that decision also. Pro number 2 of living in Folsom has to be neighborhood living. This place was designed with families in mind, with intentional subdivisions connected by the trail system that I mentioned earlier. This means cul-de-sac streets and trails for the kids to meet up and play in. Because it's such an ideal place for families to live, lots of families move there, which means your kid can still go out the front door and go down the street and find another kid to play with, just like we did when we were growing up. All of this access means it's quicker and easier to keep the kids entertained, which is good for the parents. Pro number 3 of living in Folsom is excellent schools. With it being such a family-focused community, they have an excellent school system, with most of their schools scoring an 8 out of 10 or higher on greatschools.org. And their 2 local high schools, Folsom High at 9 out of 10 and Vista del Lago at 10 out of 10 respectively, both have gorgeous campuses and excellent athletics programs to boot. And there's also more great new schools on the way in Folsom Ranch, which I'll talk about later in this video. Look, if by the end of this video you still aren't sure if Folsom is right for you, or you're trying to make the decision, as many of my clients do, between Folsom and El Dorado Hills, feel free to reach out to me via the contact information on your screen or in the description down below. I've been selling homes in Sacramento and El Dorado counties for nearly 20 years, and I've helped hundreds of families just like yours decide where to land, and I'm always happy to help. All right, now back to the pros of living in Folsom. Pro number 4 of living in Folsom is Folsom Lake. It's massive, and it's not just home to powerboating, wakeboarding, jet skiing, and water skiing. It also has an extensive hiking and mountain biking trail system all around it, and great beaches to just come play in the lake with the kids. Now, if you've been looking around online at the lake, you may have noticed that 2 of the major access points, Browns Ravine and Granite Bay Beals Point area, are technically in El Dorado Hills and Granite Bay respectively, but both of those are just over the Folsom city line and easily accessible from Folsom. The lake is a primary hub of recreation and gathering in Folsom, and one of the huge pros of living in this area. Pro number 5 of living in Folsom is shopping. They have everything you need right here in town. From the massive outdoor mall at the Palladio, complete with 2 movie theaters and a Whole Foods, to Costco, Sam's Club, America's Tires, every big box retail store and chain restaurant you can think of is right here in town. So you never have to go far to get your shopping done. And they even have a large outlet mall right by the lake. Now, what if you're the kind of person that likes little old downtowns with quaint mom and pop shops? Well, we've got you covered there as well, with Old Town Folsom right down on the river. They've got great bars, great restaurants, and all the mom and pop shops you could ever want. When it comes to shopping or meeting your daily needs, it doesn't get any easier than living in Folsom. Pro number 6 of living in Folsom, and my personal favorite because my family spends a ton of time there, is Lake Natoma. The Lake Natoma recreation area has not just the lake, but a massive paved trail system all the way around the lake for road biking, running, and just going for a walk. There's also a single track dirt section on the side of the trail for those on mountain bikes, and there are a ton of picnic areas and beaches for playing with the kids. There's also several boat launches where you can launch kayaks and paddleboards and go enjoy the water. Now, technically motorized boating is allowed on Lake Natoma, but there's a 5-mile speed limit on the entire lake, so you almost never see any kind of motorized boating. So when you're out on your paddleboard in your kayak, it's really quiet and you can just enjoy the nature. It does get a little busier at the far west end right by the dam, because there's the Sacramento State University Aquatic Center, and they have all kinds of stuff coming out of there, rowing sculls, sailboats, and paddleboards. So there's a lot of action down there. But there are sections of the lake where you can be completely by yourself on the water almost any day of the week. Pro number 7, and the last pro on our list of living in Folsom, is access to new homes. They're doing a ton of building in Folsom, on the south side of Highway 50 at Folsom Ranch, and also still on the north side of Highway 50 in Folsom proper. Now, Folsom Ranch by itself has a 25 to 30 year plan to build 11,000 new homes, a new high school, a new middle school, and 5 new elementary schools. That development is so massive that I'll do an entire video on it for you, but suffice it to say, if you're looking for a new home that no one has ever lived in, Folsom has you covered. Now, I love Folsom, and like I said before, my family spends a lot of time playing on the water in Folsom, and I think Folsom represents the very best in family living that Northern California has to offer. But there are things unique to everywhere that are important to know before you move there. So let's go over those now. On with the cons. Con number 1 of living in Folsom is traffic. Look, because a lot of people want to live here, that means there are a lot of people here, which means a lot of cars and a lot of traffic. East Bidwell is the major artery through Folsom where you can access most of the shopping, restaurants, and schools, and the neighborhoods as well. So at peak traffic times early in the morning and coming home from work and the school pickup and drop off times, that area can be really impacted and trafficy. Also, Folsom is a very long town. It stretches from just south of Highway 50 all the way to the north side of Folsom Lake. It can take 15 minutes without traffic just to get from the East Bidwell exit at Highway 50 to Old Town Folsom. And during peak traffic times, it can take 30 minutes or more to make that same drive. So traffic will be a part of your life if you choose to live in Folsom. Now, for our Bay Area and LA relocation clients, this is nothing like the traffic that you're used to, so you'll be fine. But if you're comparing Folsom to its cousin just up the hill, El Dorado Hills, or any of the other communities up Highway 50, there'll be far more traffic in Folsom than there will be in those places. So if traffic is a primary concern for you, you might want to be looking a little further east. You can't have traffic without people, and Folsom has a lot of people because it's such a great place to live. Like I said before, it's been voted the best place to raise a family in California. It has 2 lakes, a beautiful extensive trail system, access to new homes, shopping, and all the dining options you could ever want. That means people, and people mean crowds. So if you are moving to get away from people and crowds, then Folsom isn't the place for you. Hey, if you've made it this far and you're getting anything at all out of this video, hit the like button, click subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss another video with crucial information to help you with your relocation decisions. Con number 3 is that most of the shopping in Folsom is going to be at big chain stores in strip malls or outdoor malls. Like I said before, there is Old Town Folsom with the little mom and pop shops, but the vast majority of the shopping you'll do are in those outdoor strip malls. Now, for some of you, this won't be a con at all. It'll be really comforting because it'll feel like home because the community you're coming from was designed that way too. But for those of you who are looking at Folsom as that borderline between suburban and rural living, for you, you may want to keep looking east up the hill towards Placerville. Con number 4 of living in Folsom is that homes are relatively close together. Because it's such an in-demand area, year after year, the builders have been shrinking the size of the lots that they build their homes on to maximize the number of available units and to maximize the profits. What this means is in the newer sections of Folsom, smaller backyards and tighter neighbors. Now, for some of you, this won't be an issue at all. You were probably expecting that. And for others that are still looking to have a neighborhood but still want a little more space around you, then El Dorado Hills just up the hill might be a better fit for your family. It is very, very common for my clients to be comparing the 2 communities of Folsom and El Dorado Hills and trying to decide between the 2. So much so that I've got an upcoming video for you comparing the 2 communities to help you make that decision. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon so that you get notified as soon as I drop that video. Con number 5 of living in Folsom is that in the summer it's hot. really hot. It's not unusual for it to hit triple digits and to hit triple digits very often in the summer. And it doesn't have the delta breezes, which helps Sacramento cool off, and it doesn't have the elevation of places like Placerville that help it cool off in the evenings, so it can stay hot all day long. Now, luckily there are local splash parks and 2 great lakes to go play in on the hot summer days to keep you cool, but if you really don't like heat or being hot, then Folsom might not be the place for you, and you might want to head east and get a little more elevation. Con number 6 of living in Folsom has to be the high home prices. As of the recording of this video, the median home price in the Folsom area is $749,900. Now, to put that into perspective, the median home price for all of Sacramento County, which Folsom is in, is $550,000. So what do you get for your $749,900? Well, you get a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,100 square foot house on a small lot in pretty good shape. Now, if you don't have $750,000 to spend, does that mean there's nothing here for you? Well, thankfully, no. The bottom of the market's going to be around $450,000 if you need to get a loan on the property. Anything below $450,000 is likely in a condition such that it'll take a cash offer to get it done. And if you have a bigger budget than the $750,000, then there are gorgeous luxury homes on offer all the way up to multi-million-dollar homes here. But if you're on a tight budget, then Folsom simply may not be for you. Now, for our 2 primary relocation markets of the San Francisco Bay Area and LA, these prices probably don't seem so bad. In the Bay Area, the median home price ranges from $1.1 million to $1.7 million, depending on the community that you're in. That makes the $750K median home price in Folsom seem like a relative bargain. This brings us to con number 7, which is just the overall cost of living being high here in Folsom. In addition to the high home prices, you're gonna have to drive everywhere, which means your gas bills will be higher. And you have larger homes in a place where it gets fairly hot in the summer, which means higher summer electric bills. And due to the overall inflation in the country, all the goods and services you're purchasing through the major chain stores here in Folsom are just gonna be a little bit higher. Of course, this is all relative. Like I said, for our primary relocation markets of LA and the Bay Area, then most things here are gonna be equal to or less than you're used to paying. And of course, the home prices are far less. But either way, as I said before, if you're on a tight budget, then Folsom might not be the community for you. All right, now it's time for our maybe a pro, maybe a con, and that is the continued development and home building in Folsom. Now, development has its pros and cons, of course. On the pro side, you know the community is going to continue to grow, making it safer to do things like start a business here. It also means you have continued access to newer homes and newer communities for you to move into, or for family and friends to join you and move into here in Folsom. You're also going to continue to have access to the new school systems that they're building out with the new high school, the new middle school, and the 5 new elementary schools in the Folsom Ranch development. Continued development also means a continued influx of new people, which makes the community more exciting, more fun, and more diverse. Development has its downsides too. Continued construction means continued construction noise, and more people coming into town means more traffic and more overcrowding. It can also potentially mean more houses on the market to compete with when you eventually bring your home to market and decide to sell it. And in this case, in Folsom, it also means all the beautiful open rangeland that you see south of 50 right now will eventually have subdivisions covering it. So you're gonna have to decide, is the continued development in Folsom a pro or a con for your family? All right, that wraps up our discussion of the pros and cons of living in Folsom, California. And I hope this has helped you decide if Folsom is the right place for your family or not. But what if you're still not sure? Well, then click this video right here on the pros and cons of El Dorado Hills, its sister city just to the east up the hill. And if you still aren't sure, then you can click this video right here comparing living in Folsom to living in El Dorado Hills to help you decide where the right place for your family to land is. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.